Well, someone here is asking what we can do to take care of the earth, since the earth is becoming degenerated through human use. I think that for us to be able to take care of the earth and for us to have a good relationship with the earth, we would have to go a little beyond considering the earth in this concrete form it has here on the surface of the planet, because we think that earth, or that the earth, is this which we see, that it is this which we touch with our hands. But this is the external form of the earth on this planet. The earth can have other forms in other worlds or on other levels of consciousness. So we see a manifestation of the earth, this which is here on the planet, but the earth is not only manifested in this way. The earth is really a principle, a vital principle of the cosmic physical level, and this vital principle, the earth, determines the external expression of the cosmos. So this vital principle is manifested to us in this form that we know, but this is one form the earth takes on. It is not its only form. It is a principle that can be without form. And this principle is something that vitalizes everything that is meant to be expressed in the field of energies, in the non-material field. And this principle of the earth is a quality that we know as stability. So all this stability is earth. We give it other names, we place it in other formats, but stability is the earth. Wherever we feel stability, it is the earth as principle, not this earth where we plant. So this principle is very different to other principles that we know here on earth, such as the principle of malleability that is represented by water, the principle of purification that is represented by fire, and the principle of acoustics, which links us to what is non-material, that is represented by air. So we talk about earth, water, fire, and air as though they were material things, concrete things, but they are not. They are principles before they take on these forms, before they are related in this way. If we do not regard the earth as a principle, but if we only see the earth as this physical thing where we plant, we are never going to relate correctly to it. It's the same thing as one wanting to relate correctly to a person without relating to his or her soul, do you see? It's not possible. When we interact personally with others, we always interact badly if we do not consider the person's soul. So it's no use putting fertilizer on the earth, planting good seeds. All this is not enough. We have to consider the earth as a principle, a non-material principle. A principle that is precisely this capacity, this quality that maintains stability, that maintains this firmness, so that we may then be inspired, or we may be able to understand how we should deal with the external earth, with this which we call the earth as element. The earth as principle is the basis of all manifestation. Now the earth as element, what we call material earth, This tends to confine our consciousness to matter, because it is so useful, so important, this earth that we know is so vital, that it ends up hemming in our consciousness, and we think that what is before us is the earth, and that we are treating it well. We should use the earth, but treat it as a non-material principle, in the same way that we should be careful to deal with other people, seeking to treat them as souls and not as persons. Otherwise, we only stay on the surface of things and end up not helping people, just as we are not helping the earth. We are degrading the earth because we are treating it as though it were this concrete material element. As a principle, it is that which enables energy to take on form. No energy takes on form. No energy becomes visible if the principle of earth is not present. And all the physical universe, all that exists in the universe, has its origin in the earth, but not in the earth as it is on this planet, in the earth as principle. So the earth goes far beyond this which we know, and far beyond what we contact. And this is why the ancients used to say that we came from the earth and we return to the earth. That is, we all know that we don't come from the earth, we come from the cosmos. But why did they used to say we come from the earth? It is not from this earth, but from the principle of creation. And we really do come from there, and we have to go back there. We have to return to this principle. So the earth is the more substantial part of energy, and it is that from which all the body of the cosmos is built, all that is external, all that has form. So whatever the form in all the cosmos, the principle of earth is present, even though there might not be any of the kind of earth we know there. So for us to be able to deal with this element, because here on earth it is an element, isn't it? Outside of the earth it is a principle. So for us to be able to deal with this element, we have to regard it as a principle. And we have to connect to this principle. Otherwise, we will go on treating the earth the way we have been doing, that is, making use of the earth, drawing our food from the earth, which are lesser functions of the earth. Without the principle of the earth, there would not be any world. There would not even be any planet. This would not be able to become manifest. So this is what we have to deal with. It is to this that we have to connect closely when we are going to handle the physical earth, when we are going to plant, to develop agriculture. Now this planet is also called the earth. And this planet is meant to become more rarefied, so that the principle of the earth could also become more rarefied here. And when it becomes more rarefied, it will produce, or it will develop, a more rarefied plant kingdom, a different plant kingdom, and all the kingdoms that are in this process. So both the element earth and the planet earth, which are the work and manifestation of the principle earth, as the solid planet it is, they are also being transmuted. they are being rarefied, and they are being made more subtle. And the earth, as the principle on this planet, is also going to make the physical nature of the surface more subtle. And everything becomes more subtle on the surface of the earth, including the earth itself, in the other inner worlds, in the intraterrestrial dimensions, in the superphysical dimensions. This earth principle is also going to become more subtle. So a process of becoming subtle is going to take place. If we could be aware of the intraterrestrial levels, we would see that there, the element earth is not like it is here on the surface. In the intraterrestrial worlds, the element earth is not solid. So the plants, the plant kingdom in the intraterrestrial world are not like the ones here. They are also more transparent. They are also more subtle. Our next step here on earth, and the next step of this planet, is to go from this dense level where it is to a more subtle level, to a more etheric level. We have to be aware of these things when we deal with concrete things. Otherwise, we will not radiate to the concrete things, to the concrete earth, the energy needed to gradually change its form, to gradually change from the concrete earth to a subtle earth. And for this to take place, it is possible to have a different plant kingdom here, a different animal kingdom, and a different human kingdom, if humans are going to go on making use of minerals and plants for their nutrition. Our contact with the law of evolution is aided to the extent that we become more subtle, because dense, the way we are, we cannot make certain contacts with evolutionary levels. So it is very important for this element earth, as well as the element water, the element air, the element fire, to become more subtle here on earth, so that we, as physical human beings, may be able to contact other levels of evolutionary laws. For example, see, on this earth of the surface, how complicated it is for people's consciences to perceive that they do not need animal products. How complicated this is, because one's conscience is not able to reach a level of law of evolution beyond this concrete level, beyond this level in which the elements are manifested here. For our evolutionary work to become more subtle is very important in this planet. So when we are going to deal with the physical earth, when we are going to deal with physical plants, when we're going to deal with physical animals, if we do not keep in mind that there are other levels, other dimensions, other planes of reality present there, we, as intelligent and mental beings, will not even perceive that there are other levels to things. And we have to be aware of this. We have to perceive this, because if we do not make contact mentally, if we do not make contact as consciousnesses with these other levels of reality, these other levels of laws, we will always be butchers, we will always be meat eaters, blood drinkers. Just see what level that is. So this level, which is the level that pertains to a subhuman kingdom, we, at this level, with our consciousness, will not be able to perceive other planes, other levels of the planet, which is something that our superphysical fellow beings, or our supra-terrestrial brothers who are not physical, have already attained, have already perceived, and they already live that way. Now, attunement with these things will depend on the energy that we are developing within ourselves. These things are not developed in schools or in labs. This perception is developed to the degree that one's inner energy is steered by evolutionary forces, by the forces of higher evolution, not by material evolution. So this becomes recycled, this becomes transformed according to the inner work we do. So human attunement with the more subtle levels of the earth and of these elements is built according to the way we use energy. You have seen on the news that this country is very proud because it is self-sufficient in oil. Just think if this is a reason to be proud. So when we approve the use of this energy and our sources of it by opening actual caverns inside the physical earth, because we are digging out an element that has work to do there. So we are excavating enormous caverns. We do not know what will happen with these caverns during a movement of restructuring of the planet, and how these caves will remain drained of the liquid that was supposed to be in there, and we are proud of this. So you can see the problem of a scientific brain, the problem of an evolved brain, such as the brain of a scientist, that cannot grasp this because of a lack of this inner work, because of the lack of this seeking to go within oneself, to discover new levels of the laws, to discover a new meaning to everything that one experiences. So what lies behind the decadence of the earth, of the physical earth? What lies behind this is a lack of conscience that is much broader than we can perceive, because for us, the earth is generally seen as the source of our food, whereas the earth is not doing only that on the planet. That is merely a lesser function of the earth. The earth is the stability of this planetary life on material levels. Without the element earth, this could not be stable on material levels. In this stage of evolution that we are living, and that is here. In dealing with the Earth planet, where we are incarnated, we would have to deal with this planet as though it were a planet that is not yet able to govern itself alone, because the Earth as a planet does not govern itself alone. The Earth as planet is not ready to have its own governance. The governance of the earth comes from another planet. The governance of this planet comes from another planet that has its prolongation on earth, which we call the Lord of the world. and in the Old Bible was called Melchizedek. So people ask, who was Melchizedek? Because they think it was a man who roamed around at that time. So who is Melchizedek? What does it mean? In our language, for our understanding, it is that which governs the world, representing a planet which, from among the beings of the earth, from among earthly consciousnesses, is attempting to form a being who in future cycles will be able to govern the world. Because the regent of the earth is not an earthling, but a Venusian. So here, real lab work is going on to bring forth the manifestation of the regent of this world. In each state of evolution, we know this Lord of the world under a different name. The Bible called him Melchizedek, and since the Bible was translated according to certain whims, Melchizedek came down to us as though it denoted a person. Just look at how it was translated. So the formation of this earthly ruler, the formation of the one who will be able to replace this regent, this is expected of humanity. When we talk about humanity, we are not talking only about the beings of the surface, these physical beings, but we are also talking about superphysical beings from the non-physical civilizations, the intraterrestrial civilizations. So, civilizations such as Mistmiplan, Erx, Aurora, it is from there that the regent, the Lord of the world, is to appear, so that the current regent may return to his real work, or may take on broader tasks. Right now, very important changes are underway in us as beings, but in our innermost consciousnesses. And if we can disentangle ourselves from these things that here on earth are called government, if we can disentangle ourselves from these things and uplift our consciousness to focus on the real government of the world, to what really governs the world, we are going to have a connection. We are going to be in harmony with the real government of the world. And then it is this real government of the world that is guiding humanity to transcend this level of material consciousness that can help humanity very much. Well, for us to keep inwardly before us this which the Bible called Melchizedek, even without knowing exactly what it was, even without knowing what it was all about, for us to keep this in mind, we really have to be careful not to get carried away by the material aspect of things, of life, of the planet itself, which is also made of the element earth, but in its material aspect. So for us to enter the secrets of this earth, for us really to be able to understand, to perceive how we are going to deal with the earth as element, as soil for things to grow, as the physical space that also provides us with food, we have to be aware of all of this. Otherwise, we are going to handle all this carelessly. And while wanting it to produce, we keep on killing this element, which is what is happening. We keep on degenerating this element. And many ask, they question themselves, but what is the use of saying all this if my individual action is not going to make a difference? because this is an avalanche of the forces of involution that is behind all these things. So it seems that our action has no influence. Yes, all this is there in an evolutionary flow. All this is within a specific progression. And among the elements, earth, water, fire, and air, there is a common task. Thus, we do not know what the water, what the fire, and what the air will be able to contribute to this rebalancing of the planet. Perhaps they will collaborate to change the situation, to change the picture. So at this point, none of us, no Ministry of Agriculture, nothing manufactured, nobody can make this earth go back to being what it was, alive, because it will have to undergo a process in order to become renewed, but not the way we are thinking, or not the way we would be able to renew it. But our consciousness, our inner development, will have an influence. It will have an influence because it relates to the principle that is beyond the element. It is in contact with the principle. And this principle is also within us, because we are also made of earth. We are also made of water. We are made of air. We are made of fire. We are made of all this. So when we contact this through the elements that we have as external life as well, these elements in us then take on a different rhythm. And thus a deeper transformation will begin to take place in us, not a superficial transformation, not a shift in temperament. Someone who used to speak loudly now speaks quietly. Someone who was bad-mannered is now polite. These are very superficial, but also necessary. But deep transformation, that is, for us to stop being earth, water, air, and fire as elements, for us to begin to be a principle of these things. This is the way we will be able to cooperate in the transformation of the planet, in planetary transformation. And when we tend the soil, or when we tend the animals, or when we tend the plants, we will tend them with a more appropriate energy. There is no formula for this. Nobody can really teach anybody how to tend the soil, because it's the person's own energy that is radiated to the earth, that is touching the soil. And each one of us has his or her own energy. You may know basic, superficial rules for animal husbandry, but if you do not see a soul principle within the animal, your correct energy will not reach it, because your energy goes out to the animal when you consider it your brother, a younger brother of yours. When you regard it as having been your own self in a former stage, as though you had been that before your soul was born. So all this underlies our work with the kingdoms. It's the same thing with the plant kingdom, isn't it? And the same thing with the human kingdom. This present governance of the planet, this current phase of the regency of the planet, is basically dealing with the energy of will.
De forma que nós precisamos, segundo a visão da regência do planeta,
so that, according to the perspective of the governance of the planet, first of all, we need to develop will. That is the first ray, ray number one. So this regent of the planet, this Venusian consciousness that governs this planet, by applying the first ray, is bringing into us this capacity, this will to want, because nobody can do things for us. We are the ones who do the things for ourselves. So this is what this regent is imprinting in humanity, is working to awaken in humanity. Because we cannot go on waiting for the extraterrestrial brothers, for brothers from Venus, from Saturn, to come and resolve the problems of the earth. This can happen in an emergency situation like this one, because we have taken the planet to such a state of crisis that even the entire planet together would not be able to transcend this crisis. So all these presences here are very necessary now in this crisis. But the Lord of the world, this consciousness that governs the planet, is intensifying in the soul of all humanity this energy of will, this energy of power, the power to break through all these illusory levels, all these apparent levels. So see what a labor of Hercules it is for people who are aware to be in this current planetary condition of transition, as though we were already on the new earth, already within a new consciousness, and we have to regard ourselves as already being in the new consciousness, already being in the new earth, in order to draw this, to attract, to reinforce, to confirm this, counting on this energy of the Lord of the world, counting on this energy of power and will, counting on this, because it is a force, and we haven't the least idea what it's all about. This force is not earthly, not terrestrial, and it deals with the things of the earth as if by its force it could do that which is inconceivable for us. But for Venus or some other regent, it would be something normal within the work of the solar system. So the work with planting, with the kingdoms, in these work groups, we would have to try to transcend the apparent part of the work, so that we can really develop the work group. And when we deal with planting, when we deal with minerals, with water, with soil, when we deal with animals, or when we deal with our fellow beings in work, in groups, we would have to respond to this entire presence of this Lord of the world. We would have to respond to this by trying to go beyond appearances, beyond our own appearance as well, beyond the other person's appearance, beyond the appearance of what is happening on the surface of the earth. Because if we were to look at the situation of the waters on the planet, the situation of the earth on the planet, the situation of the animal kingdom on the planet, and the overall situation of the human kingdom on the planet, it's simply apocalyptic. And we have to break through all this. We have to see through this. We have to go to the principles, not the elements, not the material elements, the concrete elements, which are also very important here on the physical earth. But in order to deal with this correctly, we really have to focus on other principles, the principles of these elements, and not on earthly, human, agricultural, veterinary, and other principles that we know by heart, but which do not provide that we would really have to do in these kingdoms. Because these kingdoms, the animal, the plant, and the mineral, These kingdoms depend on us to develop here on this planet. They depend on us to go to another plane, to go to another level of consciousness.
Temos que realmente estar buscando a nossa
We
parte.
really have to strive to do our part because each one of us has a role in this.
O trabalho é encontrar.
Our work is to find our part. We have to seek our part, but it is there. There is no one who does not have a role in this.